Hi, welcome to this episode of Academic Writing. I am Lee Hall, and I am an Associate Professor of Literacy Studies at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And today I'm going to be talking to you about getting your first draft of a piece done. So, this is the message that I really want to send home to you. You should write however it is that you write. There is not a single right way to accomplish a first draft, which means that there's not a wrong way to accomplish a first draft. A first draft is a first draft, right? However you get it out is how you get it out, okay? So I can't give you a formula. I'm going to share a little bit of my process with you. My process might be useful for you and it might not be helpful at all, okay? So I think the thing for me that's important to know is I don't write my first draft all at once. And when I'm writing, for example, academic research paper, I don't start with the beginning. I actually start by writing my research questions down, and then I write my methods section first. And I do that because I really don't like starting a new paper. I just don't. I like when all the words are on the paper and I can play and edit with them. That's the fun part to me. The hard part is just starting it, okay, for me. So by starting with my methods, I feel like I'm accomplishing something and I'm getting over that fear of a blank page and, oh my goodness, what am I going to say? I have so much space to fill up. Methods is me telling you what I did, right? Like I collected my data, so all I have to do is tell you how I collected my data, right? I've analyzed my data, so I just tell you how I analyzed my data. It's very factual. So there's not a lot of analytic thinking going on there. I just have to figure out the best way to communicate how I collected my data and analyzed it to you, right? What my research setting was like. That's a description. So that's really, for me, it's a simple way to start. And the thing to know is usually, right, like I will write my method section and then I'll write my findings section. And then usually I will go back and forth between those two sections at once, right? So I might write my method section and then I might revise it a couple of times and then write my findings section. If I find myself getting stuck with writing my findings section, then I might go back and work on my method section, just read through it and revise it, give myself a mental break from my findings section, right? At any point, right, in writing, I might stop working on a section because it's just giving me a hard time mentally and go revise and look at another one, even if it just means it's just a little bit of cleaning up and tightening up. And so what you can see from this is that the editing process is this real back and forth for me. And there's really no such thing as a first draft, right? There might be a first draft of a paragraph or of a section, but all of that gets meshed together because I could be revising my method section for my fifth time, but doing the first draft of my introduction, right? So I think the idea of first draft is really, it's inaccurate. I think it suggests that, you know, at some point you're going to like just sit there and write your whole piece and then you're going to have your whole draft. And for me, that is never the case. Usually when in an academic research paper, by the time I get to writing the end and the beginning, that middle part with methods and findings is pretty solidified, okay? Yeah, I'll go back through it a couple more times and clean it up before I submit it for review, but it's pretty solid. So I normally write methods and then I write findings and then I write the end and then I write the beginning last. And you'll hear a lot of academics talk about writing the beginning last. And I'll save that for a different video where we talk about order and process. But I think what I want you to know is that this idea of, you know, writing something, having the whole piece done before you really do any significant editing, for me, that's just false. I write how I want to write. I work on what I want to work on. And sometimes if I'm really stuck, I will, or just can't take it anymore, right? I'm just so tired of looking at, you know, my method section or my finding section, but I don't really feel like it's polished enough to write the beginning or the end yet. I might just take a break and do some background reading because I'm going to need to do background reading anyways to help me write a strong introduction and a strong conclusion. So I might just take a day and have a reading day or have a day where I collect articles. And that's fine too, right? It's just being mindful about where you are in the process. So get started. The important thing is to become aware of your process, right? To develop your process, to honor and respect your process. You should always be looking at how others approach the writing process, because sometimes there's always things that you can use that will refine how you approach it or give you some inspiration. But be respectful of your process and what works for you. All right. If you have any questions about academic writing, please feel free to contact me, leahall39@gmail.com. And you can also find me online at leahall.wordpress.com.